yeah, I always try to say to my clients, like, yeah, always like shoot for your goal, like, and set the standard, set the bar high, and try not to have a plan B, because I think plan B's implying that the plan A is going to fail.
Yeah. Well.
Like, I don't like plan B's.
Good as Gold's the official Gold's Gym Australia podcast.
Proudly supported by Raw Energy, cafe partner for Gold's Gym Australia. Welcome back, guys, to another episode of the Good as Gold's podcast. It is your host, Callum, alongside Em. Now, today, Em, we have a special guest in the studio.
A special guest who is joining us in the studio, which we cannot wait to introduce. His name is Nicholas Weir, and he is an aspiring pro IFBB bodybuilder.
Yep. We also have him as an internationally recognised powerlifter, a sports nutritionist.
Undergrad at Biomed. Like, what can the boy not do?
Well, let's find out. Nick, welcome to the podcast. It's so good to have you here. It's so good to have you here in person as well.
Yeah, it feels good.
Glad to be here. Yeah.
So we were talking briefly prior to going live. What are your aspirations? What are you aspiring to be at as of right now? What are you working on?
So currently I'm working away at my bachelor degree for biomedicine.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So I'm doing that at QUT, Queensland University of Technology.
Yep.
And in addition to that, I'm also working full-time as an online coach, delving more into the physique competitive side of things now.
Yep.
Especially since I made my transition from powerlifting to bodybuilding. It's more of a personal interest, so it only makes sense for my business to kind of gravitate in that direction.
Yep.
And in addition to that, I'm also working towards attaining my pro card in the IFBB league for bodybuilding.
Cool.
Classic Physique.
Classic Physique. So the man himself.
He's
He's the god.
The god, yeah. So just to unpack a little bit from powerlifting, competing at an international level.
Yeah.
What does that look like?
Yeah, what division, what weight division, what were your numbers? Give me some juice.
Wasn't that impressive in my opinion. I was quite young at the time though. I think I was 20 or 21.
Yep.
It's a while now, so one of those. And I went to Worlds in Vegas. It was 2015.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
I tore my lat 2 weeks prior to the competition, so I had to stop deadlifting in that lead up.
Oh, right.
Which was a bit of a bummer because deadlifts is my favourite lift and my strongest lift. But yeah, I did, it was around 270 kilo squat at that competition. I did, I think it was 180 kilogram bench.
Yep.
And I was on track for a 300 plus kilo deadlift, but I tore my teres major quite severely on my opening deadlift, and so I had to just finish my numbers at 260 for the deadlift. Yeah, okay. But I still came first, so I was happy with that.
Oh, that's epic.
Yeah, but in saying that, I should have approached the prep a lot better. But
yeah, right. Well, I mean,
hindsight.
Still to go to Vegas to
absolutely
to lift some weights, that is it's a very cool feat. And so now transitioned into like from powerlifting. Now, like you were saying, on track to obtaining your pro card. What is a pro card? So
it's kind of I suppose, credential in the bodybuilding community that kind of is kept exclusive to the best of the best.
Yep.
So they award usually 1 to 3 pro cards depending on the competition, like the show, depending on the part of the year at each show for each kind of class.
Yep.
And in order to get it, you have to win your class in the opens. Yep. And then basically go to a national or like a pro qualifier, and then also come first in that typically. Yep. Sometimes they'll award a pro card to second place, I believe, or they might do like first in opens and then first in novice. But a lot of the time, especially in Australia, it's just one pro card. Yep. So you either the best of the best and you get it, or you have to wait an entire season until you can try give it another shot.
Damn.
Wow.
Yeah, but it allows you to get your foot in the door to then compete at pro shows and eventually get to the Olympia stage, which is the end goal for me.
Mm-hmm.
You want to Olympia?
I want to get on the Mr. Olympia stage. So if you set some goals for yourself, you might as well set them as high as possible and then
set the bar high.
Yeah.
I love that. And especially as yourself, you said you're an online coach. So you setting goals is probably a great example for your clients, right? Like, knowing that they can achieve something if they like put their mind to it, or at least they have those, goals in place,
Yeah.
like the fundamentals,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
What does getting to Mr. Olympia mean to you?
In all honesty, I mean, I think regardless who it is, like if you're a competitor, if you compete in bodybuilding, you're going to have some degree of a competitive streak.
Yeah.
Like it'll vary from person to person. So I can't deny that I just want to be the best of the best. I want to win.
Yeah.
There is that kind of element in me that wants it purely.
Yeah, that
for,
like
for that
competitive
reason.
streak.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also it's kind of to prove it to myself that I can do it.
Yeah.
Especially if you grow up not thinking that you'll amount to much, or having the impression that you're just like you can live an averagely good life and not kind of get beyond that.
Yeah.
You kind of really want to try, I suppose, prove yourself wrong in a way. So
Yeah.
So it's a way of me proving myself
Yeah.
wrong. If I can get to that stage, it's just a big accomplishment. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And where you are now, did you think you'd ever be where you are now back then?
No.
So you've already done that. You've already like kind of proved yourself wrong.
Sort of, yeah. I mean, I started lifting about 10 years ago. I was 57 kilo, same height that I am now. I had anorexia in high school. And if I kept heading down that path, my doctor basically said I would end up in a hospital.
Wow.
So I had to kind of, turn a page, so to speak, and right my wrongdoing that I'd done to myself.
Yeah.
And a lot of it was just, I had I suppose, most people have some degree of trauma growing up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I had a lot of things throughout my childhood where I had no control or influence over.
Yeah.
And so the outcome was largely outside of my control. But when it came to the food that I ate, I had 100% control over that.
Yeah.
So I kind of hyper-focused on that, and I was trying to control my food because it was the only thing that I had control over in my life at that point in time. And then, it basically just led to me being very self-destructive in my actions, and I got quite light. But people would compliment you saying, "Oh, you're looking really good today," and then that was kind of positive reinforcement to keep doing what you're doing.
Fueling the fire, right?
Yeah. Even though they obviously have no
cycle.
ill intentions,
Yeah,
they're just
totally.
trying to be polite. Yeah.
What was the pivotal moment after you kind of spoke to your doctor and your doctor was like, look, it's either hospital or we change something. What was that pivotal point for you? Like, what was going through your mind? You were like, all right, you were this, small kid who was like, fuck, if I don't change it now, something's going to give.
Well, it's kind of the doctor just put it very blunt and straight to the point to me, which no one else in my life at the time was doing.
Yeah.
They were just saying, "Oh, you got to stop doing this. It's not healthy. You don't look healthy." But he was really real with me, and he's like, "Look, if you keep doing this, in 3 months you're going to be dead."
Yep.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, "Okay, well, I don't want to be dead."
Of course.
So I was like, "Okay, I need to change my ways. I need to
Yeah.
change the habits and the lifestyle that I've adopted and instill better, healthier, more conducive ones to my overall well-being in the long term."
So that's insane if you're only listening, this guy is massive. So he's a huge, big boy. How much do you weigh now?
A little bit lighter because post-show rebound for IFBB bodybuilders, not so much ICM bodybuilders and stuff, but you can grow quite a lot in the post-show rebound phase. I ballooned up to, I think, 116.5, 116.5 kilo, but I'm sitting at about comfortable 110 kilo now.
Yeah, cool.
Maintain that until I start prep for my next show.
So back then, when you were suffering those things, you were looking at yourself and not saying like body dysmorphia is a sense, but in a sense of looking at, physique. When you get as lean as you get for a show and you're like, damn, I'm the best I've ever looked, and you're vascular and you're just like peeling the little bits of skin. When you do say you get back to your comfortable phase, is that hard for you to look in the mirror and be like, I want to be this lean 24/7? Or do you just know realistically that's impossible for you to maintain, like the shredded nature of it all?
Yeah, good question. Like I know, just knowing what I know about human physiology, that it's not sustainable long term.
Yeah.
And we all have what's called this body fat set point, and it can vary from person to person. And it's kind of like a range. Like it's not like very binary, but rather a continuum. It's like some individuals can maintain like a body fat set point of like, say, 30 to 15%. Like, say if they're more prone to being obese, that's probably where their body's going to be in the happy medium, where appetite's not dysregulated too much, that sort of thing. They can maintain that while living a relatively comfortable life. But some individuals who are naturally, they have a proclivity to being lean, they can probably maintain a range of anywhere between like 15 and 8%, for example, and be very healthy. But knowing what I know about physiology, knowing that my body fat set point's somewhere in the like 9 to like 13% camp.
Yeah, okay.
I know I can maintain that, but stage conditioning just isn't sustainable.
Yeah.
But a lot of individuals do struggle with it. And I think a lot of competitors, that's why you get the post-show blues.
Yes.
That sort of thing. Like, if you've ever competed or know people that have, like, you've probably seen them hit rock bottom after a show. Like,
100%.
Blow out, like eat heaps of food, get depressed. And then they look at their photos when they were in prep, they'd be like, oh, I'm not lean enough. And they look back and they think, wow, I was so lean. What was I thinking?
Yeah.
But there's an actual like physiological reason for that, or I suppose a psychological reason. As you get leaner, to a point, like when you get to that kind of like beach body leanness, you notice the positive changes and you're like, okay, you acknowledge that you're very lean and you look good. But once you dip below that, I almost think it's like an evolutionary like mechanism that's built in to kind of prevent us from getting too lean, because obviously any organism's underpinning goal is to survive. So if we try to threaten that too much by manipulating the environment, the human physiology is going to try to fight against it. I think one of the ways it does that, in addition to regulating appetite, increasing ghrelin, and dropping leptin levels when we get too lean, it also starts psychologically playing with us and being like, okay, I don't look good, I might as well just like eat all the food.
Yes. And do you find that like, and so what, like, I think as well, with people competing, if they really, really want to win, or if they really want to place and they don't, that also like contributes to that kind of like post-show blues and that sort of stuff. And it's like, how do you actually handle if there is, or there has been a show where, you know, you haven't placed or gotten first? It's like, how do you deal with that?
I think a big part of it is making sure you set realistic expectations prior to prep, prior to kind of setting out to prep for the show. Because a lot of what happens post show is predetermined by how you go into the actual prep itself, I think. So setting realistic, tangible goals that are attainable, or at least perceivably attainable, provided that you tick all the boxes and leave no stones unturned. Like if you don't have bicep peaks like Arnold Schwarzenegger, and if you don't find that your biceps are quite responsive to growing, setting an off-season goal of like getting your biceps like 13 inches bigger in like 12 to 24 months is just ridiculous. Or like if you know you're doing your first show, then probably going into the expectation of, I'm going to just clean up the entire competition. It's probably, I mean, it can happen at the end of the day. Like, we can't deny that there's always that statistical anomaly, or that outlying chance that you do that. But the odds are largely against you in those kind of circumstances. And I think, just setting realistic goals. But dealing with it if it's already happened, that's another whole creature in itself. It's like, you kind of have to reflect, do a bit of self-reflection, and be like, okay, well, these were my goals, and really kind of assess and sit down with yourself in the now and like ask yourself, were they realistic, or did I just really drop the ball and just didn't put in enough effort? Like what was the common denominator?
Would you say you're competitive in nature?
I was never a competitive kid. Like I was always that kid that was kind of just off doing his own thing. Like I wasn't really too concerned with
like sports and stuff like that.
Yeah. Like I was an active kid and stuff like that. Like did surf lifesaving, did participate in quite a few different sports, but I never kind of had that appeal when I was younger to it. But I think around puberty was where I kind of got that competitive streak. It's probably where a lot of guys do get it. Like they get a little bit more testy, and they're like, okay, and I do think testosterone drives a lot of motivation for men. I think that's a big part of the reason why a lot of guys tend to be overly competitive, or at least more competitive than the mean, I suppose. The
reason I ask that is because in like a competitive sense in bodybuilding, it's like physique subjective. It's so subjective, and it's not like, I run faster than you, therefore I win.
Yeah.
It's like
the judges like me better.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
or like if you're and like throwing to like Mr. Olympia with Chris Bumstead winning, and people were saying like Rough Diesel shouldn't have been like there. Like everyone had an opinion about that. Yeah. When it comes to, because you recently won your most recent comp.
Yeah, so it was my first bodybuilding show. I did first timers and came first.
Yeah. Were you sussing the comp out before you even went out? You were like Instagramming them to find out, and you're like, yeah, I reckon I'm bigger than him.
Were you going in confident? Did you go in confident? And you're like, I've got this in the bag.
I actually didn't. A lot of people were very confident in my potential at the show, but I mean, I went in with kind of like an open mind, like open expectations. I did like intrinsically, like deep down, I did want to win.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so you had
Yeah, and I wanted to win like at the pro qualifier at nationals the following week, but that was just me being unrealistic with my expectations of myself. But I mean, I surprised myself when I got called out first in first timers, and I don't know, like it's weird. You kind of up on stage, and I just thought to myself, oh yeah, they're calling people out, like they called out third place. And then I was like, okay, well, I'm not third. Maybe I'll be second.
Yeah.
Like I thought I'd be like on the podium, but I didn't think I'd get first.
Yeah.
And they called out second. I'm like, clearly I
haven't
place.
got it. Yeah.
And I was just happy for the other people. And I was like, I'm interested to see who came first. And they called my name, and I was like, hang on, that's my name. So I walked over and I was like, I was ecstatic. Like, But I mean,
that's amazing.
Yeah, it's a pretty impressive physique.
What do you think about when you're actually posing? When you're on stage, like, what's going through your mind? What is it?
Don't miss the beat.
So every single time you pose, every single time you change poses, what's going through?
It's like counting time or something.
Yeah,
you got the next pose to do, or
it's almost like muscle memory. Like it's a
like
weird
you already
way
know what you're doing.
Yeah, in a way, like the goal is to obviously practice so much leading up to the shows that when you get to the show, like by the time you're on the stage and it's your time to do your routine, like it just kind of flows. It's like
out,
almost like when you're in that flow state working and you're just like, I don't know where these ideas are coming from, or like how, like if you've ever written like an assignment for uni or school and you're like, that the words are just coming out. And that's kind of what you're trying to aim for when you're on stage. I'll be honest, I should have done a lot more posing practice than I did. Yeah. I just kind of winged it.
And we were talking about this prior to this episode going as well, and we were talking about the importance of like nutrition to
like training and mindset,
like if
even recovery.
Not like I want you to put it on a scale or a triad or whatever, but like
it's 80% nutrition.
80% nutrition.
I know it's all
20% training.
And like for some people it might need to be more than nutrition because they're not like that into it and the condition side of things. But for you, what would you say is like for you, what is your key? What do you think you're like I know I'm going to crush that side of things?
I think probably, I mean, I'm pretty good with the nutrition, but I think the training, like I go into the gym and I always have the mindset of no one's going to train harder than me. Like
every day?
Yeah. Like
every time you train that you're thinking that.
Yeah.
That is sick.
I have a really hard, I suppose, job at holding myself back when I'm training. Like a lot of people, obviously, we know the literature says you don't need to train to failure to get muscle growth. Yeah. You just want to be in that Goldilocks zone on the cusp, like the precipice just before failure, and kind of like dance in between like 3 reps from reserve and like 1 to 2 reps from reserve. Yeah. Occasionally going to like 1 or 0 reps from reserve in like the final stretch of the training block or phase. But I'm kind of I suppose a little bit dogmatic in my approach personally. I don't advocate it for my clients, but I'll just go all out and leave nothing on the table, but keep technique in check.
Yeah, like don't compromise that, but you will go to the nth degree.
Yeah.
It's actually impressive, like the mindset you have that is like that I will not fail mindset. You're like, I have a goal and you set it and it's on. Like, it's like, your mind is so strong. How, like, if you could give any piece of advice to someone who is in a similar position where they're starting to set goals or they've got this dream, how do you start? B, what else do we do?
Well, to start, like when it comes to setting a goal, obviously you need to understand your why, like the intrinsic reason behind what you're setting out to do and achieve. I mean, if you just set a goal like I want to get leaner because then people will like me more, or like, or I'll be more self-confident. Like that's a lot of the time it's a bad goal. It's a very weak framework for a goal because you don't get self-confidence from achieving a certain body composition or a physique or getting a certain squat, bench press or deadlift. But what you will do is you'll learn that you're stronger than you thought you were along the way during and throughout the process. So being very like process oriented with your approach to your training and your goals is really important, I think. So it's like, okay, well, I want to get a six pack because I don't like the way I feel, I don't like the way I look. And then you've got to ask yourself, why don't you like the way you look? And kind of just dig as deep as you can. And if you can go like 3 or 4 whys deep, I always say that's a pretty solid goal. But if you can't at least dig a few layers deep, like I can guarantee you're probably going to falter and just fall off the bandwagon.
But even what you're saying there, that settling for, well, we've touched on a lot this morning. We did talk about that, like setting the bar, like you've got options, right? Like there are a few options, and we sometimes be like, well, it's okay if you just do this, then you'll be fine. But even just at your mindset of training, you're like, no, I'm gonna go in there, I'm gonna absolutely destroy my chest today, like till it's almost tearing off the bone.
It's probably not like the safest thing to do, but it's what I do.
And that's for you, right? Whereas like if you had a client who you're like, they're new off the block and they also want to get into it, you're going to start them off probably slow, but I'm sure you'd advocate for a sense of go in and do your best. Like,
definitely. I always try and encourage them to do their best. And I think, even though like, although I said I do go to failure, I pay the price for it sometimes too. Like, I mean, I might get a niggle from it and I make that very clear to my clients. Like, I'll be like, look, you can approach it the same way I do. Like, because at the end of the day, I can't tell you not to. That'd be very hypocritical of me. But understand that you've got to be mature enough to be willing to accept the potential consequences of doing that. I've like made my bed and I'm happy to sleep in it if push comes to shove. But are you going to get really down in the dumps and beat yourself up because you got a niggle or because you ruined the progression for the next 3 weeks of training? You have to have a deload now. Like, but I always try to say to my clients, like, always like shoot for your goal, like, and set the standard, set the bar high, and try not to have a plan B, because I think plan B's implying that the plan A is going to fail. Like, I don't like plan Bs. I do think that you need to be willing to improvise and adapt to the situation and the circumstances as they come and go and change. But don't go into it. Don't go into pursuing a goal or like having a plan while having another plan on the back burner. Because it's going to take some of your focus and attention away. So you're not going to be 100% committed to that. And then you're more likely to fail.
So the federation that you're in, competing in, what are the rules?
Okay.
What can we do? What can you not do?
So I compete in IFBB, so it's the untested bodybuilding federation. I don't think I need to explain too much around that. People who know enough about training and bodybuilding know what that means. So that said, like, there aren't many kind of rules, so to speak. It's a case of you want to have good. I can't think of the term.
It'll come.
You've got to have good sportsmanship. So on the stage, you've got to treat the other competitors with respect and be polite. So stage presence, you do get marked on that. Even the things like how good your complexion is, like, or if you have bad skin, that can affect your placing, even though they won't say it. I mean, at the end of the day, we're getting critiqued and judged on the way we look, which is it's pretty
It's
pretty
like an
hard.
unspoken rule.
It's an unspoken rule, that or any kind of abnormalities. Like if there's two contenders like for first place on the stage, and they're ridiculously close, like given the actual, I suppose, I don't know,
like the criteria of it, or
So like, given like the criteria that they actually do go in intentionally marking everybody on, like if people are so close, there's two people that are pretty much the same in terms of how many points that they've got. Like, they have to separate them somehow. They can't just be like, oh, we've got 2 first places, so they'll be like, okay,
have to
well,
pick apart.
this guy's like got better skin. This guy's got really really bad skin. Like he's got a very poor complexion. Okay, we're going to give it to him.
Yeah.
But they won't say that's the reason why. They'll just say,
they'll
just say they
You
want
want
it. Yeah. So it's kind of like you said, an unspoken criteria, but they assess everything from the way you conduct yourself on stage, how you treat others, how much you're smiling, that sort of thing.
That's kind of cool though. Like,
I really love that.
Yeah.
Because it's not just like, I think,
It's not like every man for themselves, right? It's like, it's a camaraderie. It's like, let's get a group together.
Yeah.
And
I feel as though from what I've seen in competitions, both female and male, it seems like they all like kind of get along because you're all, there's like, not like you're an elite breed, but there's not a lot of professional bodybuilders. Like there's a lot of dudes who are like, you know, on test and they're 19 and they're just like the biggest, thickest dudes, but they're not going to commit. They're not going to commit to getting on stage and going 24 weeks non-stop, not drinking alcohol, just like getting as lean as possible, going through cycles. And like you said, you even understand the physiology behind what your body's going through, where they might do a cut and their fat dies down and their brain, you know, gets all foggy.
Yeah, or no education.
Their dick gets limp and they're just like, what's wrong with me?
Yeah. And then they think they're broken and they don't know what to do. Yeah, well, I mean, you kind of said it, summarized it there very well. Like everybody that is at the competition, we know what it took to kind of get there. Like we know that you commit a number of back-to-back months of dieting and training hard and potentially some sort of financial or just personal life stress in the mix. Yeah. And to be able to get through all of that and not pull the pin on your prep and get there on stage, I think there's that kind of level of respect that we kind of reserve for everybody in the sense of like, look, we acknowledge that you've worked hard to get here. Yeah. No matter what the outcome, no matter what you place, like you deserve to be up here just as much as every single one of us do. And I think there's that camaraderie built on that, and it's almost like a mateship. Like it's really cool. Yeah. And I mean, you always get the what do they call it? The sore losers or the spoil sports. Like they're always going to be out there, but for the majority like of the people competing, everybody's amazing. And it was really eye opening. Like I think I went into it thinking, oh, like we get marked on the way we look. We just get up there all tanned and lubed up and we flex and pose in our trunks and then we get marked. But there's so many things that go into it. It's multifaceted. Like I said, you're posing, how well you flow, whether you're angled down toward the judges so they can see the best angle of you and not the audience. Yes. And how you conduct yourself on stage. Do you push somebody's arm out of the way when you're posing, or do you frown on stage when someone else like gets moved into the middle of the line? Like that sort of thing. And it's all these little subtle things, and it gives you an appreciation for how dynamic the sport is.
I was going to say, it's so dynamic.
There's a lot going on at one time. I actually do think about that because like I've watched a couple of competitions and you know, when the in my case the girls were up on the stage, I was like, wow, like how are the judges looking at however many girls that are on this stage picking apart? Like, you know, just being like, you're good, you're whatever. It's like, it's actually just incredible.
It's like if you don't make a statement then and there, it's
or like and it's like, especially for women, it's like if it's, you know, if your bikini or like if it's like WBFF or whatever, it's like if your bikini's not tip top or if we don't like that or, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, even the tan, like if you use the wrong tan and you look like different to everybody else, you'll get marked down for it. I remember Tony Doherty coming out the back and giving us like a debrief before we kind of did our like categories and stuff on the stage, and he's like, if you don't have Pro 10, make sure you get Pro 10 right now, because if you get up there, like some poor soul got up there on stage at one other show in the past and they looked orange, like they looked orange when everybody else was bronze. Yeah, and it just looked so obvious under the lights.
Yeah, that you're gone.
So and so like you can't just go the cheap route and get a different kind of tan. Like you've got to do your research and find out what. Yeah, but with women, like confidence, like the stage presence is so important. Yeah, I mean it's important for all classes and categories, but especially for the women's ones. And you can tell, like you can see an amazing physique, like a competitor with an amazing physique, and if she gets up on stage and clearly does not show that she feels confident or comfortable, like she belongs up on there. Like
she'll get marked down.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, it is incredible. It's cool. Like, do you think that, like, on that confidence piece, like, how do you kind of feel about that? Because, like, the way I see it, even just thinking about it right now, I'm like, is there, you know, are you just faking confidence, or are you actually really fucking, like, are you actually really
comfortable
confident
in
up
your body?
there?
Like, you're, you know, that your prep and everything.
And, like, I'm sure blokes are the exact same. Like, what do you think?
I mean, if you don't have it, they always say, like, fake it till you make it. And it's kind of like a last resort. It's like, if that's your only option, you've got to fake it. You know? And
hold on to it.
And, like, for your sake, hopefully it comes off legitimate and it feels genuine.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I would honestly say genuinely being confident is going to be better, because then you don't have that.
Well, you don't have to. Yeah, that added pressure. You've already got enough going on your plate, going on stage, and adding that on top.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. And what, like, basically, did that get you into online coaching, or so you competing, did that get you into online coaching, or were you already an online coach?
Already kind of into online coaching. Like, I kind of started at, I want to say 2013, like just a handful of people, like a guy in Greece, a couple other people, when online coaching was very, very small. But then I kind of I never pushed it or tried to grow it, because I was working a normal job at the same time, that sort of thing. And I never really thought it could take off and be a full-fledged, full-time career, like, especially back then. Like, people, even personal training in a gym, people wouldn't take you seriously if you're a personal trainer. They're like, okay, so when are you going to get a real job? Like,
totally.
And now, like, people who said that are probably
they're like inquiring about how to get a PT.
They want a PT,
cert.
but they're probably too afraid to, like, be like, hey, reach out. Oh no.
Yeah. But no, I did face-to-face personal training and coaching out of a world gym that was, like, nearby where I lived at the time, years and years ago. And then after doing that for a while, I thought to myself, you know what, it's kind of like 50-50 face-to-face online. I'm enjoying the online a lot more. And in order for me to be able to put 100% effort into that and give more time and attention to those people, I need to pull that time from somewhere else. Like, we've only got X amount of hours in a week. So I was like, okay, if I pull a pin on face-to-face, I don't have to pay rent to the gym. I've got, like, say, 30 to 40 extra hours a week that I can play with. And then, I basically made the leap of faith, as they call it. And, just never looked back all those years ago. So
that's epic.
Yeah.
It's so cool. When you online coach, what is your kind of, like, ideal client? So if they come to you, who is your, like, ideal client to help, to coach?
Yeah, that's interesting. Like, a lot of people would be like, okay, well, I have my niche. Like, it's like, for some it might be CrossFitters or that sort of thing. I'll coach people across the board, effectively, but I have kind of like a criteria of, like, I want you to be, like, committed to your goals, that sort of thing. I want you to be willing to do the non-negotiables, the things that we agree upon, and basically just be as transparent as communicative as possible. But I have mostly, I'd say, like, performance athletes for my nutrition coaching. I don't really do a lot of coaching in the way of performance athletes for their actual training anymore. I have done a little bit of that in the past, especially when I did powerlifting. But I'd say my typical clients these days are performance athletes for nutrition, physique competitors, so like bodybuilding, men's physique, classic physique, that sort of thing. And then also just general population, or you could say like lifestyle clients that are very, very committed, that aren't.
They want the results.
Like, who are after, like, something maybe a little bit more elaborate, like body recomposition, because that requires a lot more thought in the planning side of things. And then, like, rapid weight loss, but not that I kind of promote that. More a case of, like, if I have somebody that's severely overweight, I feel like I have a duty of care for that person if they approach me, and I'm like, look, I'll help you get healthy.
For sure.
It's not my, like, niche.
That's cool. Going into the biomed sort of style of things, and you brush on it a couple of times, like the human physiology. Male to female, and I would say your clients vary. Would they vary between male and female?
Yeah, it was, for a long time it was predominantly females, but now it's predominantly males. Cool. I coach both though. That's good, because where I'm going with this is when it comes to men, our physiology, pretty basic. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Like, not as temperamental. No.
All right.
And so when we're...
You too?
Okay.
I mean, women are more complex. Like, they're
totally.
More, like, if we look at it from an evolutionary perspective, like, I think women are more, like, evolved like physiologically. Yeah. There's a lot more complexity to their makeup and the way that
100%.
Yeah.
So what would, in the case of, competing, for example, so people listening at home, if they were keen to get into it, what would be something you would expect to either see, feel, like as a man, you're going to, as you're cutting foods, obviously you don't have much to play.
Yeah.
Right. But as a female, they've got 1,000 things to freaking think about, right?
Exactly, yeah. Like, I mean, you could have your cycle suddenly stop. That's quite common.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the time, ideally, you don't want it to stop, or at least you don't want it to stop for like the longest time in a prep. But for most individuals, unless if their body's happy kind of being at a lower body fat set point, especially women, like they will lose their period at some point, usually toward the tail end, and then it obviously comes back when you do the whole like recovery post-show phase and titrate calories back up and reverse to low energy availability. But yeah, a lot of diet fatigue like sets in and occurs as a result of the extreme dieting that we do in bodybuilding. But yeah, women, it's there's a lot more things to think about. Like for women, you can expect to potentially like lose your like period temporarily. Expect just general kind of symptoms of like moodiness and stuff to increase. Same thing for men. Yeah. But for women, I'd just say just expect what men experience, but on a higher level. In addition to obviously experiencing some things that men can't experience due to having a different physiological makeup. Yeah.
And how important is the rebuild after something like that? So you've gone on stage. We've done a few cuts in our life.
Oh my god! I thought you were going to say go on stage. I was like, no, I've never.
No. As in we've done a few like
cuts.
Cuts and
deficits.
Gone down, and then like the rebuild. How important is a proper rebuild phase, or is it you go from 1,300 calories back to 27? Like,
okay, yeah, general fat loss phase, general like weight loss phase, like that sort of thing. I'd say you can like titrate the calories quite quickly, more aggressively or like liberally than you would out of a contest. Yeah. And there's physiological and psychological reasons for that. Like, but when it comes to a contest prep, you have to take things a little bit slower a lot of the time. And it's more of a personalized approach when it comes to reversing or coming out of a contest prep, because some individuals, they're going to do better with a quicker, more aggressive, like titration of food, and reduction of energy expenditure, whereas other individuals are going to require a much slower sequential process. General fat loss, though, like, I mean, you can probably jump just below your new perceived maintenance from the end of the deficit, and then 1 to 2 weeks later jump to maintenance or just slightly above maintenance. So do like a 2 or 3 step process over a course of say like 2 to 4 weeks, or even less, 1 to 2 weeks, depending on how long the deficit was and how aggressive it was, whether it was like a 25% deficit or like a 20% deficit. For contest prep, though, I think it's a lot more like it needs to be assessed on a case-by-case basis. Yeah. So somebody who's got like a proclivity to like binge or overeat, who's experiencing some really severe appetite dysregulation, you might want to increase the food a little bit more quickly to prevent them from turning like it's better to increase somebody's calories, like put them in 1,000 calorie surplus post show, than it is for them to try to adhere to a very gradual reverse approach and then end up binging 3,000 calories over maintenance. Like you're kind of like preempting what the damage might be. And so, but we know ourselves very well, but a lot of the time we don't want to be honest with ourselves.
Totally.
Yeah.
So if you know that you don't handle like coming out of a diet
rebuilds.
Go a bit quicker. You're gonna save yourself some heartache in the long run.
Literally. Yeah. And what I want to know is, what are your other hobbies besides from training and working?
Oh, that's hard. I used to play the guitar a bit.
Yeah.
I haven't had much time to do that lately.
Because it would be hard, right? Like you're prepping. Yeah. When you're in a prep, it's like that's the majority of what you're doing, right?
Sacrifice.
Yeah.
Sacrifice. You gotta be hardcore.
Literally.
So playing the guitar. I used to do a lot of art. I was into Warhammer even for a little while. Yeah. Pretty nerdy. I know. Like painting the little miniatures and stuff.
Love
40K.
Yeah. Love it.
40K. And then yeah, I don't get much time to do that anymore. And obviously, but they're my hobbies outside. Yeah. And I like music, so I just like listening to music and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because do you find it hard to, or do you ever miss your hobbies, like, or miss your like you time when you are in prep mode?
Yeah, I think I do, yeah. And I mean, in prep, it's kind of like the prime time to return to some of your hobbies when you have so much time between meals because you're eating less food. But like, I've got to keep the mind busy. So sometimes you can pick them up. Depends on how hectic your schedule is outside of prep, like how busy work is, like, and that sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, I think it's hard to find time for your hobbies. Yeah. You'd probably agree. Like, the older you get, the more responsibilities that you get. Like, placed on your plate. And it's more difficult. It's like you can't
just be silly and fun and
committed relationship. Then it's like, okay, you might move in together, have a house, that sort of thing. Then it's like, oh, you're planning to have like a family, like kids, that sort of thing, or like a dog, like, and it's like, well, they're all responsibilities. They all require a chunk of your time out of the week. Like, how much can you handle before you're spreading yourself too thin?
Yeah, exactly. Well, burnout.
Like, even relationships, like what sacrifice is that for you when you're prepping? Like, you know, because it's more than
how
just...
does your partner handle that as well?
It's more than just food and diet and all that. You've got to sacrifice, but like, babe, I'm going to the gym for 3 hours, you know?
Yeah, you need to have somebody, like a companion that's very understanding of the process. Ideally, somebody who also walks that lifestyle as well. Yeah. That's going to be the most ideal scenario for a competitive athlete, whether it be a powerlifter, a bodybuilder, or a CrossFitter. It's like somebody who understands your goals, your commitment to them, and the cost of having such a goal. But yeah, my partner, I'm very grateful and lucky and blessed that she also competes. So
amazing.
Yeah, she works from home. I work from home, so we get to see each other throughout the day.
What a little dream!
That's a dream.
It's amazing. Yeah, I mean, I'm very.
Do you hit the gym together too?
Not really, because you know how they say like couples who train together stay together. It's good to train with your partner occasionally, but I mean, you do different programs. Like you have your program, they'll have their program. You'll have different goals. They'll have different goals. Yeah. And I mean, it's good to train with each other, but you also want that like.
And especially if you're already if you work from home with them, you do normally prep together.
They get sick of you. You get sick of them.
You're like, bye, I'm going to the gym.
Yeah. And you appreciate the time together more than not spending every waking moment together.
Yeah. What that would be like. Yeah, to like work from home with your partner.
I'd be down for that, I think.
I would be too, but I also
would need
some like us time, you time. Yeah. Agreed. Yep. I agree. Well, before we wrap up, we normally just play a little fast 5 quick questions. Don't think, just say.
Okay.
I'm down.
All right. If you could only have one food for the rest of your life, what is it?
I choose C. No, I'm just kidding.
Is that right?
He knew the assignment. He knew the assignment.
All of the above. No. So yeah, if I had to choose one food, damn.
Only got one.
I'm a lover of pizza, but my body doesn't like pizza. Like autoimmune disease, I don't handle gluten well, but I'd have to say pizza. Okay. I would live with it.
Yeah, if that didn't exist, it's like pizza straight up.
Yeah.
If you could be any superhero, who would it be?
Sentry.
Tell me more.
Who?
I do not.
It's pretty much like the Superman of Marvel on steroids. Like he's pretty much invulnerable in every way. Like you can't beat him. His only weakness is the fact that when he gets angry, he can lose control and like potentially just kill everyone and everything. But that's the only negative to him. It's like everything else, like you don't stand a chance. So I like Sentry. Bit of a comic book buff from when I was a kid. So
great choice.
Yeah, right. Not a lot of people know who Sentry is.
Yeah, I'm gonna Google that one for sure.
Who is yours?
Yeah, who's yours?
Mine.
Yeah.
It's pretty boring, but I just love Spider-Man. I freaking love Spider-Man.
Spider-Man's dope. Do you want to hear a funny story?
We do.
I do.
We love hearing stories.
So when I was in primary school, I had a little bit of a fanatical period where I was obsessed with Spider-Man. I'd pack my Spider-Man costume up in my bag, and when the lunch bell rang, I'd go to the toilets at school. This was in primary school.
Yeah.
Strip down, hop into the Spider-Man suit, and just do fat laps around the school all lunch break.
Just yelling out.
It's the most embarrassing thing to look back on. But yeah,
that's pretty cool because like I reckon there's someone sitting there right now. I'd be like, there used to be this kid in my school and he'd just run around and be like, I'm Spider-Man.
Someone's listening who was in primary school with you, like, I remember that guy.
What superhero?
Yeah.
Look, I would love to say I'm a superhero gal, but I'm not. Who's Scarlett Johansson in
A Black Widow.
Black Widow,
Yeah.
I just like
Just
her
like a Russian spy slash
that
master
honestly
assassin.
does. Yes, that sounds like me.
Like deviant little sneaky.
Dogs or cats?
Definitely dogs, but I love both.
Bless you. I like that answer. I really do. What is on your bucket list that you haven't ticked off yet?
There's a lot of
We've
things.
touched on
see the pyramids in person before they get closed down.
Oh yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Last one. It's not a trick question. Classic prime Arnold or Chris Bumstead?
Oh, that's hard. They've both got their like weaknesses and their strengths. If we're going purely off of symmetry, proportion, physique, Arnold. If we're going off conditioning and posing, Chris Bumstead.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And the moustache and the mullet had me.
Yeah, I liked that. The stash and the mullet, yeah.
The combo was good. Lovely. Well, I feel as though we could
keep going. I know.
I love that. It's been a great chat.
Literally.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. Really, really
Thank you
appreciate
so
having
much.
me on.
And thanks for joining us
Where?
face to face.
Yeah. Where can everyone find you?
So I'm finally getting into the YouTube game. I told myself I'd do it back in 2012. Imposter syndrome stopped me, but releasing 3 videos a week now consistently.
That's consistent as.
Yeah, so...
Monday, Wednesday, Friday?
Yeah, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, yeah.
What are people going to find on your YouTube?
Mostly vlogs, full day of eating videos, the boring crap.
That is not boring.
That's the bread and butter.
Yeah, 100%.
I watch that.
I'm working on an informative video at the moment, though, so I'm going to start heading and delving down the kind of like Jeff Nippard rabbit hole.
All
so
right.
I've got a
I actually know who this is.
Yeah, how to structure a like pool session, science explained kind of video I'm working on at the moment. It's about 12 minutes long. I actually got hyper focused on it today before coming here, and I almost missed the
cue.
The mark. Yeah.
Like, I gotta go.
Yeah.
Well,
And
I'm keen
Instagram
to check
too.
that. Yeah, Instagram. What's your handle?
Okay, so YouTube is just Nicholas Weir. Type that in, you'll see me. And then Instagram is Coach Nicholas Weir.
Yep.
Real easy to remember.
Weir.
Weir. Yeah.
Coach Nick, the
Coach
man
Nick.
himself. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having
Epic.
me.
We look forward to seeing you on the stage
Olympia
of
stage.
Olympia. Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to finish with one thing. Gold's Gym is better than World's.
Oh, damn.
What a guy.
Yeah, honestly, like a gentle giant.
Seriously, Nicky Boy coming through with the goods. I just loved learning so much about actually the road to going from literally powerlifting to bodybuilding.
Yeah, and even just the world of bodybuilding in itself, like from what the judges will see to your skin clarity too. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's follow along that road. It's a pretty hectic one though to make it to Olympia.
I feel like this won't be the last time we see or hear of him. I feel like he's definitely got a massive career ahead of him.
Yep. Well, if you would like to see more content, then feel free to jump into other episodes. But like, subscribe, share, give this episode a 5 out of 5 rating. It really does help us out.
Thank you so much for listening, guys. And we look forward to bringing you another episode in your ears very soon.
Yep. Go kick some goals.
Bye.
Bye.
Good as gold. Gouda as golda.